this is Danny Flexen for Seconds Out with the latest edition of ReFLEXions. I'm here every Monday, 4:30 PM, to look back on the boxing action of the weekend just gone. And Saturday night wasn't the best night for either Matchroom or UK boxing, as we lost two of our world champions to devastating knockout defeats in Sheffield. And I think both champions were favourites going in. A lot of people even criticised the main event, probably myself included. Whether I did it on record or not, I'm not sure. But I certainly thought it was a bit of a mismatch. Kid Galahad against Kiko Martinez. Thought Galahad, in the prime of his career, just won the world title vacant against Jazza Dickens. Never beaten clearly. Obviously had that controversial points defeat to Josh Warrington. Martinez seemed on the, not even on the slide, but just on the back end of a long, hard, grueling career. He'd had his time at the top at super bantamweight and challenged a couple of times at feather as well. And just seemed like his limited style would play into Galahad's more educated fists. And for 4 rounds or 5 rounds, or most of 5 rounds, it certainly looked that way. Galahad was pretty dominant, using his angles, greater work rate to keep Kiko on the back foot for the most part. Seemed to be befuddling him, outboxing him pretty comfortably. And then that all got turned on its head at the end of round 5 when Kiko Martinez stepped in and unleashed a huge overhand right. Not really seen the right hand thrown the way Kiko throws it before. I'm sure he's always thrown it like that, but I've only noticed maybe with the benefit of slow motion replay. But whips his right leg around instead of just twisting the foot as most people do, or most orthodox fighters do when they throw a right hand. He actually brings the right leg forward, takes a step forward and steps into the shot, as a lot of people do with the jab, I suppose, with the lead hand. But he steps forward with the right foot as he throws his right hand. And maybe there's something to it. I think I might try it myself, because he devastated Galahad with the punch. Knocked him down, landed really heavily right at the end of the round. And Galahad got up probably too quickly and still seemed dazed. Referee Steve Gray asked him to step towards him with his gloves up. And Galahad nodded to acknowledge that he understood what he was being asked, but never actually did so. And then eventually walked forward at the second time of asking, but still didn't raise his gloves as he was asked. And for me, and I don't want to be too harsh on the referee here, but that would have set alarm bells ringing in my head. And maybe he knew it was the end of the round and not supposed to take that into account, of course. But it did seem like Galahad was still very dazed and shouldn't have been allowed to go on necessarily. But the bell went straight after, went back to his corner. Dominic Ingle tried to revive him as well as he could. Galahad, he seemed to be taking it in. He seemed to be listening to what he was being told in the corner, but the eyes still seemed a bit glassy. And when he got up off his stool for the 6th round, he certainly seemed tentative, and there was a real concern. And Martinez obviously sensed that his moment was here. He might not get another chance. Dashed over as soon as the round began and unleashed another big right hand, right foot forward once again, and deposited Galahad on the canvas for the second time. And this time it was clear there was no coming back. Steve Gray immediately waved the fight off so Galahad could get medical attention. Thankfully, I should point out, first of all, that he's fine now. No concussion or anything like that. Back in the gym this morning, apparently, which is no surprise for anyone that knows Barry well. And hoping for a rematch soon after. But what a victory for Kiko Martinez. We won't be too UK-centric on this vlog. And Martinez, hard-won career. At this stage, he now has to fight in other people's backyards. Looks very unfortunate not to get the decision on his last Matchroom show against Zelfa Barrett. This time, took the matter very much out of the judge's hands. Wisely, perhaps. And rightly anyway, because it seemed like he wasn't winning any of the rounds before the 5th. But yeah, 2 huge right hand knockdowns sealed the victory, and yeah, he's now a 2-weight world champion, arguably Spain's greatest ever fighter. Congratulations to him. For Galahad, absolutely devastating after a tough career. There's been setbacks, some of his own making, some not. Finally won that world title against Jazza Dickens, and his world got turned upside down in the first defence. He'll be hoping for an immediate rematch. Eddie Hearn has said they've got Kiko Martinez under contract. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe you'll get like a homecoming fight first in Spain. Matchroom obviously promotes shows there now. Or perhaps Kid Galahad will get an immediate rematch, but will have to travel to Spain for it. We shall see. I know a lot of people on social media have complained about the need for foreign fighters often to win twice against Matchroom title holders to really escape, if you like, with the title because of rematch clauses. And I know rematch clauses aren't the most popular thing at all. From the fighter's point of view, though, if you were Galahad or Terri Harper, who we'll talk about in a minute, you'd be delighted that your promoter had the foresight to insist upon the rematch clauses in the contract so that one bad night at the office doesn't mean your whole career's over. There's still a path back for you. So I understand why fans don't like it, but if I was a fighter, I'd be, glad that my promoter was doing their job and looking after my best interests. And that brings us to Terri Harper, who came back to the ring after a long time out, had an injury, of course, back in the ring. But unlike the Galahad fight, she was up against it from the start against very confident, powerful American in Alicia Baumgardner, who came out full of confidence, on the front foot, moved when she had to. Harper tried to establish her jab and her work rate, as we've seen from her in the past, darting in and out. But a lot of lateral movement from Baumgardner in the first 3 rounds. When she landed, she looked the heavier hitter. It was clear that Harper needed to, stay on her P's and Q's, if you like, and be careful not to get involved in exchanges early on in the fight. Her best, strategy, I guess, was to chip away early on, take Baumgardner into the second half of the 10-rounder, and then look to step up the work rate and the intensity from then on as a less experienced opponent tired, or marginally less, not less experienced at that level anyway. I think they'd have roughly the same amount of fights. But that all became moot in round 4 when Baumgardner unleashed a great shot, right hand, that turned Harper round. And she it was a strange reaction to a punch, or one of the stranger reactions to a punch that I've seen, in that she turned round, so turned her back kind of involuntarily. She was kind of moved round and then kind of froze on the spot, not throwing anything back and completely defenseless. And referee Mark Lyson deserves a huge amount of credit for immediately stepping in and kind of taking away some of the impact of Baumgardner's follow-up left hook and not allowing any further shots after that, stopping the fight immediately. And I think on first glance, some people were disappointed because they couldn't see how badly hurt Harper was. But having watched it on the replay, as I'm sure a lot of people did, it was clear that Harper was just frozen in the spot. There was obviously some kind of neurological issue in real time and couldn't move, couldn't defend herself, and was just open to a nasty knockout if Lyson hadn't have been so quick thinking. He saved, arguably, her faculties by doing so, and well done to him, and also to Baumgardner, who came over with nothing to lose and ripped the title away from the champion, as we're often told that that's what challengers should do. Harper may want some easier fights back rather than go straight back in with Baumgardner. We shall see. The option will be there, I would assume, for an immediate rematch because of the rematch issues we've talked about just now. But yeah, I mean, just great performance from Baumgardner. You feel for Harper. She was on the back foot and not winning the fight, but she had been out of the ring for a long time. She didn't look herself necessarily. And maybe with a couple of comeback fights under her belt, get that experience because she's been fast-tracked, maybe get that experience, fill in a few of those gaps. She could have a good chance at getting the belt back from Baumgardner. But obviously there was a plan for her to fight Choi in a unification fight after this. Maybe that chance will now go to Baumgardner, and then the winner of that try and become undisputed against Michaela Mayer, who is a 2-belt champion at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, a long way back now for Harper. Even if she takes the immediate rematch, you wouldn't start her a favourite in that one because of how the fight panned out. So we shall see. Galahad may be a slightly quicker route back if he wants it. But again, you can't discount the power of Kiko Martinez, and Galahad will know going into the rematch that he's been hurt before, much like Anthony Joshua against Andy Ruiz in that fight. He knows he can hurt him, he knows he can stop him. So it'll be a case of adapting the tactics for Galahad and trying to stay out of harm's way, certainly in the first half of the fight, not getting complacent. Yeah, good night of action. Didn't look like a great show on paper. Nothing really inspired. But the two main fights delivered surprise results. Not great results for UK boxing, but made the show as a whole more entertaining. And the undercard fight where Dante Dixon outpointed Jordan McCorry, I thought was very good as well. Dante Dixon certainly one to watch. Let me know what you guys think of the action and what the future holds for the winners and the losers of the two main fights. I'll respond to some of the comments. I'll be back on Thursday for Flexpectations, looking ahead to the weekend's action. The Boxer show, obviously, at Wembley being one of them. And big fight in the US between Terence Crawford and Sean Porter. And I will be back with the next ReFLEXions next Monday at the same time, 4:30. Please like, comment, all the usual stuff, or thumbs up. I don't know if we call it like anymore on YouTube. And I'll respond to some of the comments during the week. Thanks very much for your time, and I'll see you all soon.